Oh, thank you, everyone. As Gillian says, I'm Adam from Lab Supply, and as the name suggests, we supply laboratory equipment and consumables. So I'm really talking about one option from the commercial side of science rather than laboratory or research-based roles. If you look back at all your laboratories, tutorials, and you think of all of those pipettes that you use, the PCR machine that you use, the rockers, the shakers, the tubes, and there's actually a really big industry behind the supply of those products and equipment as well. And it's like everything in science, it's a small community, but it's a really good industry full of really good people. So the products range from very basic items such as pipette tips, maybe not that exciting, but to things like gene editing kits, LCMS instrumentation. Some of the equipment costs millions and millions of dollars, some probably a few $100s, but a lot of variety and into a lot of laboratories as well. So roles within the sales and marketing of the laboratory supplies, they vary. They often vary on who the manufacturer is, your location, the size of the market, whether you're a distributor, and the complexity of the products you're selling as well. And just to probably give you a few examples, New Zealand's a very small market. We're about less than 0.5% of the global market. We're very lucky. We've got some quite big suppliers who treat us as a market, as any other market, and they're certainly great companies to work with. Yeah, as I said, the US, obviously big market, Europe and those sort of China, those sort of areas are really large markets, and the roles that you can actually apply for and work in vary within those sort of markets. So some of the role types, sales specialists. So you heard that word sales, that possibly might scare a few of you, but it's not that bad. Product specialists, as the name suggests, you're a specialist in certain products. So you're an expert in that field, in that area. Field application specialists, you're often supporting the sales team in the field, visiting clients and offering that technical aspect to some of what can be quite complex products. So one thing for sure is the requirement for a degree is essential. And in some cases, a PhD, as I sort of suggested to you, probably in some of the bigger markets like Germany and the US, if you're working for manufacturers who are basically at the cutting edge of products that are being released, your knowledge has to be quite significant, particularly of the techniques that people are working with as well. So there's nothing wrong with a good old bachelor's degree in biochemistry, which is what I've got. That has done me quite well. So I think one thing that's really interesting just from the couple of previous talkers is communication skills. It just seems to be quite relevant in all aspects of science. So communication is key. You've got to really be able to communicate the benefits of what you're selling to people. So having that background in the laboratory, the technical knowledge, the theory, and actually being able to communicate to people why that product is actually going to be helpful for their research. And that may be, it could have cost benefits, it could have time savings, it could have higher yields, just a number of sort of things. But effectively having that science degree, you're talking the same language, which is really important. If you're not really into people, this is probably not the job for you. I don't think you have to be particularly extroverted, but I think you've got to like communicating with people. You've got to enjoy being around people, and actually, it's fun. Once you get into it, there's a lot of good people in science. I've made a lot of friends out of science, customers, but also our suppliers as well. They're a good group of people, and you're sort of collaborating or working together. It's in my experience anyway, it's been very good fun. So when would you embark on a journey into sales? what we find is generally some people they start in the laboratory and they decide, look, the laboratory's not for me. They've typically had jobs at maybe McDonald's or in a customer-facing roles. They enjoy people. They've got a customer service focus. And they've picked up a bit of lab experience and they think, well, how else can I apply these skills that I've got? So I guess what Mackenzie was saying before too, I think, I guess you come out with an idea of what you want to do. Things don't always work out as they plan, but sales is actually quite a good viable option as well. So I think that's quite handy. But why would you get into sales? Well, I've already sort of highlighted a few benefits for sales. It's challenging. You do have different pressures on you in sales. Some of the pressures are, I guess, if you've got big agencies, and we represent a few like Eppendorf, Memut and Griner Bio One, these are quite big organisations and they have growth targets and aspirations as well, and we're part of that. So you constantly have to achieve, growing sales within your markets each year. But it's, that's a challenge. It's fun. As I said, you meet a lot of people. You go into a lot of laboratories as well. So you can actually get exposure to quite a wide variety of research, which is really interesting. And because of your base knowledge in science, clearly you're not an expert in that, but you get a bit of an understanding of what people are doing. And it's actually really, really cool to see some of the research that's going across New Zealand. The other thing too, which I've recently been over to Germany to some of the big trade fairs. It's great to be traveling again, but visiting some of the manufacturer sites as well. And you can just see the investment and automation and equipment that these companies are putting into, and it's quite remarkable, the automation, these sort of things. So just having exposure to those sort of factories and people is actually, it certainly gives you a lot of encouragement. And it's rewarding as well, because effectively it might seem really simple, but we've got a product in stock that someone needs quickly. We can deliver that quite quickly. And I mean, that's probably a base. We can help people with their research. We can offer them advice on perhaps how they could do something better in their laboratory, or, that we've learned from our manufacturers as well. So there's a lot of good stuff, and, by being able to communicate those benefits as well. So, so I guess, that's really it in a nutshell. I've been in the scientific industry for over 25 years, and it's one of those things we see people come in and they get out very quickly, or they stay in it for a very long time. So it is a small community full of good people, and New Zealand has a great scientific community as well. So this is really the sales and marketing of scientific products is just one aspect of the commercial side of science, and it does give you good exposure to, I guess, commercial business and those sorts of things. And people I have talked to at these sessions before are mixing up their science degrees with commerce papers. I don't know that necessarily sales is taught, but you sort of think about it. If you're in a startup company and you're designing a product, you might have the best product in the world, but how are you going to get that to the market without having effective salespeople? So that's food for thought. So that's me, I think. Yeah, thank you.